Okay. I think we are live. Okay. I did put into, I think did I announce this in class about the senior seminar presentations at some point? Okay. Okay, well, whatever. I finally put it up. Here's the actual schedule of things. It was up in one of the other channels at some point. I don't remember, but I just relisted this stuff. So these guys are, this is next Wednesday night and next Thursday night. For those of you who are going with me to the tech conference on Wednesday, you'll get credit for the ones you're missing, and then I'm coming back. And so Dr. Locklear is actually going to be there for the probably up until about 7 p.m. here ish. I'll probably be back somewhere between 6 and 7, 6:30 and 7. But in any case, those folks will get credit for whatever they miss. If you'd like to come and watch more, I encourage you to do that. But I'm giving, what am I giving? Like a 0.5% per. Yeah, so basically, if you attend every single presentation, you get an 8% boost in your final exam. Yeah, so he's like acting surprised. Check Slack for now. Okay. And remember that my policy is that if you do better on the final exam than you did on the midterm, I'll replace your midterm exam with your final exam. Well, that 8% will help you, right? So it's not without that 8%. So if you get a 90 natural on the final exam, plus you came to every presentation, you'll have a 98 on the final exam. I'll compare that 98 to your midterm, and if it's better, I'll replace your midterm with a 98. Right? Keep in mind that these presentations, this will be you in a couple of years. Okay, this is the CSC491 class senior seminar, 300 plus hours of work during the semester. This is your big capstone project. A couple of these are going to be really cool if you're into gaming stuff. Do not miss this one. Mitchell Hove. Maybe not the greatest student in the world, but guy is gifted. And his game could be like a released game now. It's like that legit. So if you want to see like what our game programming and what our programming classes can kind of produce, this is on the high end. I mean, he's got some skill he's bringing to the table. This isn't somebody who showed up day one and had nothing. This is just crappy student who was gifted. That type thing. He would be the first to admit to it. He's a good guy. But in any case, his game looks completely legit. So if you were only going to come to one presentation and go out of your way, I encourage you to come to all of them. Get your 8%. It's a bribe. I'll give you the 8%, whatever. But we want to have good audience participation. I want you to see what you're going to be up against, not up against, but what you'll be doing in a couple of years, and get a feel for what's a good presentation, what's a good project, and what kind of was a joke, that type of thing. Yeah. No, his game is like a first-person shooter 3D thing, and he's adapting it for VR as well. I don't know if he's probably not presenting the VR version, but yeah. Yeah, this is not the same thing. This is a game that he started working on last semester, but then revamped the whole thing. But yeah, it's I'm sure he would maybe call it his own magical genre or something, but it's some sort of alien-y, sci-fi, first-person shooter-y thing. I might even throw a puzzler in there because there's like things to open up trapdoors and stuff. It's pretty impressive looking. So highly encourage you to come and see that one if you're only going to see one. Really, most of these are actually going to be pretty solid. I'm not going to like publicly say which ones I think will be crap, but although I could. So if you want to have an off the record private, whatever. But a couple ones. So Emma Kordick right here. She was our outstanding senior. She was our Wilhelm Schickard award winner. This is a gifted student, amazing programmer. Project might sound a little boring on paper. Her family has a large library, and she created a kind of a library management tool for like where to find a book and stuff like that. But what you'll get to see is you'll get to see programming skill applied to maybe what isn't the most exciting project idea, but it's done really well professionally. All right, so encourage you to look at that one too. Muath, he's doing also another very good programmer. He's doing kind of a multi SMS kind of targeted application. We'll see what he shows up with. He's capable of a lot. I do have, if you look in general, I believe yesterday I put up the actual like titles of the different things, or rough, whatever. So I would encourage you to come to as many of those things as you possibly can. You can come and go. There'll be a sign-in sheet, so just don't lie. Sign in for the ones that you were there for. Don't sign in for the ones you weren't there for. That kind of stuff. But if you dedicate to come to the 5 hours per night for those 2 nights, just that's your evening entertainment. You're like on a cruise ship. That's the show. You'll get 8% of your final, which is a pretty good deal, I think. So that's my bribe to get you to go to those things and make sure that we have a nice full audience. It's down in the pharmacy building and the main floor. It's one of the gigantic lecture halls. I mean, not a normal room like this. It's a big thing with like stadium seating type stuff. So make a point to add that to your calendar, ask off work, swap shifts with somebody, whatever. But that's next Wednesday and Thursday night from 5 to 10 p.m. I think it technically goes to 10:10, but it might go way shorter than that. Probably not substantially shorter than that, because we probably start each presentation at the correct time, because some of these people have like friends and family and stuff like that coming to it. So if another presentation goes very short, we're not going to make them start sooner in case their parents are coming from work or something. So plan on being there until 10. You can pretty much rely on the start time for each of these. Questions about those guys? All right, out of curiosity, how many of you are going to try to come to some or many of those? Okay, good. If for nothing else, take the 8% in your final. I don't care. Okay. Huh? Here, pharmacy building. Yep, it's listed in here. I think it's listed under 200. Yeah, you don't have to drive anywhere. You don't have to leave campus. Right here. Pharmacy building, main floor, 5 to 10 p.m., 08. So you don't even have to walk outside if you live on campus. Zip on over there. Okay. All right, so let's keep trucking on our code here. So the assignment today was to kind of use your imagination and finish expanding this and kind of the direction we were going, but you can kind of take liberties where you thought made sense. All right, so we're kind of working on our inheritance model here of our baseline person, where we say all persons have a name. And then we said, all persons are going to get kind of a baseline stats, where we say, the Joe average person is going to have an agility, a strength, and intelligence of something between 1 and 20. It's a roll of the dice. It's what you're born with. That's kind of that type of thing. And, they're going to have hit points. This is kind of your resilience to attack, let's say, between 10 and 30. We can kind of imagine that being, something like real life, right? Some of us are sturdier than others. Some of us, have a higher intelligence. Some of us have a higher strength. Some of us are really agile. Some of us have a good balance of all of those. So we're trying to capture the generic person here. Okay. Then we decided, okay, well, a magic user, this kind of means something. This guy's defined in terms of a person. So we would say that a magic user is a person, and we accomplish that by inheriting from the person class. So this is that syntax for that piece. We have our constructor for that dude. And for that constructor, we're just going to take in the name for our magic user. And we'll go ahead and we'll initially build a generic person. So all magic users are persons. So a magic user is a person. So we'll go ahead and build them as a base person to begin with. Then we're going to go ahead and give them some mana, which is something that sets a magic user apart from normal users. You know, they were born with the mystic arts or something like that, and so they have some magical ability. And then we're going to do a little adjusting of their strength, hit points, and intelligence. You know, if they were, this is kind of molding them into, you know, what a magic user typically might be. And really, at this point, we're kind of turning towards games. But, you know, the idea is if they were too strong by default, we'll nerf them. If they were too resilient by default, we'll nerf them. If they were too dumb by default, we'll boost them and we'll buff them. All right, make sense? Yeah. All right, so that's what we did with magic users. So then, so that was our model for going on from this. So if we kind of take that to the next step, we have our melee user now. So this is kind of maybe where your homework would have begun. So we're going to say a melee user is taking in just a name. Okay, we'll go ahead and build it. In fact, let me just for speed here, I'm going to steal from up here. But again, I type as much stuff as you can for now. All right. I also have another excuse because I don't know what my keyboard's going to do. So it's, although it's possible just from banging on it and stuff like that, it knocked whatever was loose or something, and it's because it's been working great since. All right. So now this guy's going to have some energy, right? And I mean, we have to decide how energy is going to get consumed. But for now, we'll just leave energy at the same thing as mana, 50 to 100. You know, the idea is if they utilize energy very, you know, if they're doing special attacks that use a lot of energy, they probably need a bigger pool of energy. If their stuff has, you know, a small number of, takes a small amount of energy, maybe they have less energy in their pool. But we'll just give them 50. Well, here, we'll differentiate it a little bit just because. 75 to 110 or something like that. For no good reason other than just saying we want it to look a little different than a magic user. All right. So now we're going to say, look, if they're too weak, we're going to go ahead and add to their strength. Maybe we kind of treat strength as similar to the way we treated intelligence for magic users. Okay, so if they were too physically weak, we'll buff them. If they were too if they weren't resilient enough, so if their hit points are, let's say, less than 20, we'll go ahead and boost their hit points to 20 plus some random number. So we'll make them more resilient if they weren't resilient enough. And then for their intelligence, because they're a melee user, they're running into a gunfight with a sword, we're gonna make them a little bit less smart. Most dumber. We'll make them most dumber. All right. So if they are really, we'll just say, you know, if they have intelligence even better than half, okay, we're gonna knock them down a couple of notches here. So let's so if they started off too smart, we'll nerf them. Yeah. All right. So that makes some sense for a melee user. Yeah. Something in that ballpark. This guy, he's got energy. We just differentiated energy from mana in terms of numbers. Just so if you're looking at these two, you see that that energy and mana are not synonyms for each other. All right. All right. So now we get to a necromancer. A necromancer, he's going to take in a pet name. He's going to take in a name. Okay, so he's going to need those additional things. So he's going to be a magic user. So he needs a name because he's going to pass that to his parent, right? But he's also going to now have a pet name, you know, because when he summons something, it's going to have a name, all right? But he doesn't take in agility, strength, hit point, or any of those things. So those things get actually generated by person and then potentially modified by magic user, right? All right, so we'll go ahead and call our magic user thing here. We're going to pass it just a name because that's what the magic user constructor takes, is just the name. So we're going to pass it the name, and that's it. Then we're going to set our pet name equal to whatever our pet name was here. Now, we could choose to say, well, maybe a Necromancer is even frailer than one of these other guys or something like that. So you could have gone and maybe done something with hit points or strength or something like that and further nerf them if necessary. But I think it's fair to just leave it alone for right now. We don't need to overly complicate this. So, you know, a Necromancer is a magic user with the addition of a pet. Something like that. You might even make the argument, in fact, I'm going to make this argument. I'm going to say what we're going to do is we're going to artificially nerf his mana. So because he gets this extra combatant that comes with him, we're going to go ahead and say he has a little bit less firepower for extra spells or something like that. It's not important, but just if we're trying to just visually further differentiate these guys, we'll go ahead and ask the question, if self.mana, because he does have mana. He has mana because he is a magic user, and magic users have mana. Okay, so their mana is going to be between 50 and 100. So let's say that if he has mana greater than 80, we'll set it to 80 minus Randant 5 to 10. Yeah, I like that. All right, so if his mana is greater than 80, we'll say self.mana is equal to 80 minus Randant 5, 10. So we'll cap it to 80 minus, so somewhere between 70 and well, in this case, it'll be somewhere between 70 and 75, right? Or it can be as high as 80. If he happened to, the moon's aligned, and he happened to get an 80 to begin with. All right, so we'll artificially cap his mana because he gets a pet to fight by his side. It's an extra little burst. Now, realistically, what we'll probably eventually do here, you know, again, we're kind of running out of days, but you know, we're going to probably create a pet class because pets are going to fight. I mean, they're not persons. Maybe they are persons at a base level, but they're going to have some skills that for how they fight, something like that. All right, but we'll just leave it as a name for right now, and maybe we just kind of randomly throw in 2 damage per round or something. The pet exists, he does 2 damage. Whatever that means, that's what he does. Okay, or maybe we do 2 to 4 damage or something. All right, so a Necromancer is going to have some capped mana because he gets an extra fighter by his side. Wizard. Okay, so he's going to be a magic user. This is going to be pretty similar to Necromancer. We're going to take an elemental type, and we're going to take a name, and none of this other stuff. We are building him in terms of magic user, which just requires a name. Okay, so we'll call this is our magic user constructor up here. Just takes a name as a parameter. So we're going to pass it just that name as a parameter right here. And then we're going to give him his elemental type, whatever came in here, and we'll decide how to use that. Maybe it ultimately just becomes a print statement, whether or not it's a lightning bolt or a frost bolt or a fireball, you know, depending on his elemental type. Maybe the damage is all equivalent, just you know, what kind of sparklers are going off. All right, so that's his elemental type. Now maybe we say we go the other direction here. We say if self.mana is less than 80, then we'll say self.mana is equal to 80 plus Randant, we'll just say 5 to 10. So if he doesn't have quite enough mana, because typically wizards are, I mean, they are extremely reliant on this guy's standing out there just wearing a robe. All right, he's going to be extremely reliant on his magical prowess. So if this dude's standing there with, you know, what's the smallest mana? Look at that, 50. For a mana user, yeah. So if he's standing out there with 50 mana and he can cast 2 fireballs or something like that, and then basically he's just a naked guy, we got things are a little so off-sided. Okay, so that's what we'll say a wizard is. A wizard is a base magic user with an elemental type, and then we'll make sure his mana doesn't get too low. Fair enough? All right. Warrior, he's going to take in a, I'm going to have him just take in a name. You could have made an argument that you wanted to take in defense, but I think the idea is that we want to be able to just create these types of characters as quickly as possible and have them kind of randomly generate stuff. So he's going to take in a name. We're going to build him in terms of a melee person, where we will provide just the name. All right, so he gets a name. We make him a base melee user. Then we give him some defense. And the defense we're going to give him, maybe we say Randant, you know, let's just say defense goes up to, if we're talking about like modern D&D rules, it would, most things are rolling a D20, so his defense would be, you know, up to a 20. So let's say, and we're going to say he's a little tougher, so we'll just kind of build in bonuses. So we'll say 10 to 20. All right, so we'll give him a defense somewhere between 10 and 20, whatever that means. You could have picked whatever numbers you wanted. All right, so if you aren't pulling from a background of, you know, nerdy awesomeness, tabletop role-playing stuff, whatever you put in there is absolutely fine. Just all right, so he has some defense. He has some energy that he's getting from the melee user, right? All right, then we might say, since this is a warrior, we might decide I'm maybe not going to modify him anymore. Yeah, just leave him at that. We'll keep him simple. Warriors are usually pretty simple. Yeah. All right, just even for time too. All right, so then we'll say ninja. Okay, this guy is going to just have a name. We'll build him in terms of a base. A base melee user. We'll go ahead and give him some speed, maybe Randant. Maybe his speed is 15 to 25. You know what? I want to do something here because I do want to differentiate warriors from ninjas. So let's say that a warrior maybe becomes a little stronger. I think that's fair. So strength is between what? Up to 20. So let's say that if his strength is less than 15, we set it to 15 plus 1 to 3, something like that. So if self.str is less than 15, then self.str is equal to 15 plus rand int 1 to 3. Okay, so we'll make sure warriors are a little bit stronger, okay, as a baseline. Similarly, ninjas probably need to be a little more agile, something like that. So we'll say if self.agility is less than 15, maybe we'll say self.agi is equal to 15 plus rand int. I'm going to say 3 to 5. Typically, you're thinking about it. If you're thinking about a ninja, these guys are pretty agile, right? They're out there in pajamas, so they're probably needing to do quite a bit of dodging. I mentioned the Onion article last class, right? The people are disappointed that they missed the annual ninja parade. The kids just randomly found candy in their pockets. You know, you don't see them. They're ninjas, right? All right, so that's what we'll say a ninja is. All right, so we'll say that's our inheritance model. Let's just go ahead and let's create an instance of each of our subtypes just to make sure we didn't have any syntax errors there, because that'll reveal our syntax errors. All right, so if we go ahead and we say a ninja is equal to ninja Mike, because that's obviously I have the ninja body type, right? Wasn't there a movie years ago? Chris Farley was in it. I'm thinking it was American Ninja. Chris Farley was an old SNL guy, the fat guy that died many years ago, but it was a funny movie. You know, it was not the ninja body type, right? So we'll create a ninja. We'll create a warrior. And this guy's name will be Dave. We'll create a wizard. And we'll say that's Gail. And we'll create a necromancer. Actually, definitely body type for this. Necromancer is equal to necromancer Larry. These are my parents. This is my brother. This is my mom. This is my dad. And my dad totally has a necromancer body type. This is this frail guy. I'll make sure I show him this recording. I think it's hilarious. All right, so those will create an instance of each of our real base classes, right? Our real fighting classes. Even though they're built in terms of some subclasses, these are the guys that we want to make instances of. All right, so let's just make sure this all worked. What should the output of this program be if everything worked? Nothing. Nothing. Oh, thank you. It'll be an error right now, because necromancers need one additional input. We have to give it a pet name. Wizards take, an elemental type. Thank you. Thank you. I was testing you and you failed. Well, he did. These two didn't. All right. So let's see. My mom, I think it's a fit. And obviously my dad will have Mr. Gonzalez as his pet. I have a video actually my wife sent me yesterday. We have like outdoor cameras at our house, and it picked up motion. We had a coyote in our I mean, we don't live like out in the boonies. We're like in the suburbs. So a coyote I think was hunting bunnies. That's Mr. Gonzalez's preferred prey as well. But so now Mr. Gonzalez is hunting coyotes is what we have. It was right on our deck, just hanging out there. It was pretty good. Okay, so those are our things. So if we get appropriate output for this would be nothing. We're not doing anything with these guys. We're creating 4 instances of persons, right? These guys all are persons. They're just a little bit more than that. But we're not doing anything with them. We're not printing them. We're not having anybody fight each other. We don't have the ability to fight each other. These guys just stand there looking awesome now, right? All right, so we'll go ahead and run this. All right, let's see what it's. Agility is not defined for, we forgot to remove stuff from person for one of the guys. Is it line 24? Yeah, here's line 24. So for melee users, we're just passing it the name, because the melee user is a person and he generates all this stuff. There we go. Okay, so that's a good thing to kind of do initially, is once you kind of build your structure, run it, make sure you don't have any syntax errors before you start throwing a whole bunch of extra logic in there, and then you don't know where your errors are coming from. Okay, so now we know at the very least we have syntactically correct things. All right, so let's now give these guys the ability to attack. Okay, so we're going to say that anything that is a person can attack. Okay, but what we're going to do here at the top level is, what does a person do as a normal attack? So we're going to say attack ultimately delivers an amount of damage. Okay, or let's just say get damage. Let's call it get damage, actually. We'll say def get damage. All right, so for a generic person, if we're standing there and all we are is a name with some stats, the damage that we're going to output is probably based on our strength. Right? All right, so maybe we do so maybe it's some divisor of our strength. So it's our strength divided by a value between 2 and 3, maybe something like that. So we're going to return self.str. Now, I don't want to give a decimal point value. So if let's say my strength was 15, okay? And I'm going to divide this by 2. What's 15 divided by 2? 7.5, right? Now, I don't want to do 7.5 damage. I want to do 7 damage. How do we do division? How do we do integer division in Python? Modulo gives me the remainder of integer division. How do I do division such that if I say 15 divided by 2, I get a 7 instead of 7.5? 2 slashes. Yep. So if I do self.strength divided by 2, that'll give me potentially a decimal value. If I do the 2 slashes, that'll give me the truncated value, not rounded. Not rounded. This is truncated. Just cut the decimal point off. Okay? So we'll go ahead and we'll say randint, what did I say, 2 to 3? Some divisor of their, I guess we could throw a real bully out there and divide it by 1 to 3, and he's just the full force of his awesomeness just drop the hammer. But let's give him some sub damage of his full body strength, all right? Because only ninjas are going to be able to deliver their full body strength plus probably some modifier, right? Isn't that like a ninja thing where they can do like that move where they don't even touch you, but like your heart stops? I saw that in a cartoon at some point. What would be like the worst thing to run into like in an alley? There's only one correct answer to this. It's a bear. Oh. we need a bear class. They never make bear pets in games strong enough. Bears are ridiculous. I mean, you think like a brown bear. I weigh more than a brown bear. Yeah, I mean, like normal brown bears, they're like 275 to 350 pounds, something like that. Then you get to a grizzly, which actually grizzlies are Kodiak. This actually is related to inheritance. So, right, you have bear, you have brown bear, okay, then you have Kodiak, and then you have grizzly and polar bear. I think that's how it divides up. Yeah. So the baseline brown bear, it's me. I would be a large brown bear is what it comes down to, but they're like 7-8 times the strength of the same size human, and they can run 35 miles an hour. They're ridiculous, and they have they'll just rip you. Yeah. Well, the gorilla is going to have better agility, right? I don't know if he's going to be able to do enough damage to the bear. So I would say if the bear can land a punch, the bear would win. The silverback's going to be like the ninja in this example. Oh, so this is, did I just settle a bet? I need backstory. What's what? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, it was well, here's an interesting from our discussion earlier. Was it last week with the competitive eating stuff? So back when I did the distance eating, the guy who was #1 in the world for speed eating was a guy named Takeki Kobayashi. Okay, and so he won the hot dog eating contest every year for a bunch of times. So you can find it on YouTube. There's a video. I think it's called Man versus Beast, and it has Kobayashi going up against the grizzly bear and eating hot dogs. Okay, so the Kobayashi's standing there in this cage. Okay, and he's just, he's got this pile of like 200 hot dogs. No bun though, because I guess bears won't eat buns. I don't feel like bears are all that discerning, but apparently they wouldn't eat the buns. Okay, and so you got this huge pile of 200 hot dogs. I mean, that's a lot of hot dogs, right? And then the bear's in the cage next to him. This bear looks hungry. Okay? So he comes out, and they decided that they would start eating when the bear began eating. So Kobayashi's just there with the hot dogs just ready to go. Bear comes out, goes up. Who do you think won? The bear ate 200 hot dogs in like 20 seconds. It was using its tongue to just lick it into his mouth. And then he starts banging into the cage going after Kobayashi's hot dogs. It wasn't even close. I think Kobayashi maybe got 20 or 30 of them down. I mean, he did okay for a person. I mean, this bear just mowed that table. It was awesome. Yeah, I think in that same thing they had some sprinter race a zebra. Then they had an NFL guy do like an agility course versus a cheetah. Yeah, the NFL guy won that, but it was clear the cheetah was more agile. Yeah. Just the cheetah kind of got distracted, I think, at the turn because they had to go down and back. So it was, maybe not the. It reminds me, it's like super off topic, right? It reminds me of this other thing. There's another YouTube video of, I think it's one of those like people who like train their own dogs to do stuff. And it's like this dog that runs through this obstacle course and it's just runs straight. And it's like all these like toys and food on either side of the thing that's supposed to distract the dog. So it shows like really well-trained dogs first. They're just, zipping through there, not even, just tunnel vision. And then he got his golden retriever. He starts right. Dude stops at every bowl. He's still chewing when he comes across the finish line. He's like, I just eating a hot dog or a brat or he was eating something. I don't know. But I mean, it wasn't like he got distracted once. He was at the buffet is what he is what he was. He just kept going through there. It's pretty funny. Okay, so again, the things we talk about, right? How many hot dogs can a bear eat? How is that a topic in a programming class? How is it not? That's the better question. Yeah, so if somebody wants to find that video and put it up on Slack later, they can. That one, they're all those are clean. There's not like it never put like we had to take down videos before that like a whole bunch of swear words. There's some like administrators here that have access to our Slack channel, but those are fine. Okay, so we're gonna say for a generic person, his damage is gonna be some subset of his strength, random subset of his strength. Now, for a magic user, if it's a generic magic user. Now, keep in mind that we're never going to actually have generic magic users, right? That's not something we're ever going to do. We're not going to have this like, this blob that's sitting there that's just going to do some damage. We're never going to have a generic person that's just standing there and is going to do some damage. But we're going to use these things as base parts of our attack. Okay. In fact, we'll go with magic user here just for the starting point. So for our magic user, when we build his get damage, so we're going to override the get damage that he received by default. And we're going to say for a magic user, he's not going to use the base damage of a person. Instead, maybe he's going to do some subset of his maybe intelligence, something like that. I just divided it by more. Okay, so he'll do some subset of his intelligence. Now, yeah, I think that's what we should do for magic user. Then we do get damage for, I'm just going to go one more step just for time. So let's just say we're going to have a wizard here. Get damage for a wizard is going to be, now they're going to hit a little harder, right? So he's going to get, we're going to say magic user dot get damage. So we'll go ahead and get the damage of his base class. Then we will add to that maybe a random int of his, I guess maybe let's just do 2 to 4. They hit a little harder than their intelligence, something like that. All right, so that's what we're going to do here. But we're also going to maybe say that when a magic or when a wizard does damage, we're going to say self.mana is equal to self.mana minus randint. Actually, let's just say it always costs him 3. Something like that. That means we would always ask the question, if self.mana is greater than or equal to 3, then do that stuff. Else, return 0. If I have enough, if I'm a wizard and I have enough mana to hit, so I have at least 3 mana, I'll go ahead and reduce my mana pool by 3, and then I'll return my base class's damage plus some number between 2 and 4. Otherwise, I was out of juice, and my damage is 0. Make some sense? All right, so for your homework, do the rest of these for all of the magic users and all of the melee users. If you attended the hackathon, I still encourage you to do all of them. But if you attended the hackathon, you can skip anything in the melee line. Okay, you can skip one element in the melee line. Make sense? And the rest of the magic line. We only have one more thing in the magic line.
Video for me first that isn't up yet for this class?
Well, there should have been.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay, I'll do it. So because we did that on Zoom as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it's possible I forgot since it's in a different thing. I'll put them both up right now.
And then also, when is the final?
Yeah, the phone. I have it in my phone already. Final exam is Wednesday from 10:05 to noon. The 15th, Wednesday the 15th. Not next week, the week after.
Yeah.
All right, but everybody make sure you get in your calendars for the senior seminar presentations for next week. We want to have a good turnout. And I will see you on Monday, and I'll specify up in the assignment what you can skip if you went to the hackathon. So you don't have to just memorize what I just said. I'll put in words. Okay?
For the conference next week, where are we meeting?
Yeah, I'll send an email to you guys probably today. We'll probably meet by the flagpole.
Okay.
On the front, I'll have my SUV, and
Okay.
we'll just put all you guys in the trunk.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Thank you.
Yep.